KVNU.com.
Cassie Ventura, the ex-girlfriend of Sean Combs, completed her testimony today in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial against the music mogul. Prosecutors are still presenting their case and more witnesses. Severe storms and tornadoes left a trail of destruction in the Midwest. ABC's Alex Perez is in Chicago, where a Beyonce concert was delayed due to the volatile storms.
Tornadoes tearing across Wisconsin.
You see it swirling around. And then that's when I run inside and get in the basement.
Children spotting one from their school bus window. In Juneau, drone images capturing the magnitude of the damage. Homes shredded, roofs ripped right off, down power lines littering roads, firemen searching for anyone who may be trapped.
More storms in store and the forecast for this weekend. A groundbreaking gene therapy treatment giving one family new hope for their baby, and it could lead to more cutting-edge options for other families.
KJ Muldoon, born with a rare disorder that causes dangerous levels of ammonia to build up in his blood. Doctors at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia came up with a customized gene editing treatment that corrects the single error in his genome. They removed the faulty gene, thus correcting errors in his DNA sequence. Hope, says ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Tara Narula, for others.
A similar approach with technology like this could treat hundreds of thousands of genetic diseases like sickle cell, cystic fibrosis, Huntington's disease, and muscular dystrophy.
ABC Sherry Preston, Michelle Franson, ABC News.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
Good afternoon. It's now 4:05, and with your KVNU News headlines, I'm Will Feelright. Well, during their scheduled budget workshop this week, members of the Logan Municipal Council heard city staff propose pay increases for elected officials in the fiscal year 2025-26, among other issues. Now, Logan Human Resources Director Ambry Darley had proposed pay increases for the city mayor and elected officials of the city council of roughly around 5%. Now, Darley said that they want qualified individuals to run for those positions, and they want to make levels of compensation attractive to potential candidates. Now, in terms of specifics, the city's financial staff is proposing that the mayor receive an annual compensation of $124,693. That would represent an increase of over $2,500, while for council members, the new annual salary proposed by Darley would be $20,152. An increase of over $1,000. Now, City Finance Director Richard Anderson said that such incremental compensation increases for elected officials were necessary to catch up with the compensation levels for similar officials that are being offered statewide. And a 34-year-old woman was killed in an assault and possible stabbing that happened inside a Weber County apartment complex. Now, after initially fleeing from the scene, the suspect was taken into custody. The incident happening yesterday afternoon around 2:30 in the Green Hill apartments that are in Riverdale. Now, Chief Casey Warren with the Riverdale Police Department say that police responded to the scene after reports of the assault, and when they arrived, officers were able to gain entry into the apartment where they found the victim. Now, emergency medical crews attempted life-saving measures, but the woman died from her injuries at the scene. Meanwhile, the 31-year-old male suspect was seen running away from the area. He was taken into custody shortly after along Riverdale Road. And two cousins accused of luring a man outside his house and then shooting at him have been charged. Now, the victim had just broken up with one of the two people arrested just hours earlier, according to charging documents. The charges state that she was angry because the victim ended the relationship. Now, a few hours later, she sought vengeance through a drive-by shooting. Now, Ana Delara Espinoza Melhar, an 18-year-old, along with her cousin, Caden Areres, a 19-year-old, were both charged yesterday with aggravated assault, illegal shooting of a gun, and also obstructing justice. Salt Lake City police say they were called to a home back on May 11th. Police learned that a man who lived at that the residents had been in a relationship with Espinoza Milhar and that they had just been in a fight earlier and had ended their relationship. A few hours later, he was called by her ex-boyfriend and told him to come outside because someone was coming to fight him. When he went outside, he was shot at. Now, no one else was injured in that shooting. Well, cloudy skies expected to continue through the rest of the afternoon, as tonight we'll see temperatures dropping into the low 40s. Tomorrow, more clouds, then chance of showers, thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. That's going to continue into tomorrow night and Sunday. Eventually, though, this storm expected to blow out of the area by Monday, and then we'll start to see sunny skies for Tuesday and through the rest of the week, with temperatures warming up substantially. Should be back up around the high 70s to low 80s by next Friday. And news and weather this hour brought to you by Edson Builders, who recently teamed up with Innovative Home Finishes. When it comes to building on a budget or building your dream home, give them a call at 232-2680. And with your KVNU News headlines, I'm Will Feelright.
Hey listeners, let's talk comfort. Specifically, how Cardinals insulation can help. Did you know the average home loses up to 35% of its heated or cooled air through the walls and roof? But here's the good news. When you call Cardinals, not only will you feel the difference with a quieter, more energy-efficient home, but you could also qualify for a tax credit up to $1,200. Save money year-round with Cardinals insulation. Call 755-5012. That's 755-5012.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM at 102.1 FM.
Whoever you are, young or a little gray, hop on Connect Transit. We're on our way. Wherever you're headed, work, school, or play, we'll get you there the easy way. No parking, no traffic, no worries, no fuss. Just sit back, relax, and ride with us. Skip the hassle, skip the drive. With Connect Transit, you'll arrive. Connect Transit. We're going your way. Visit rideconnectutah.gov to find your ride today.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. After a tough couple of weeks, President Trump appears to be in the midst of a turnaround. It could determine how Republicans fare in the midterms. Also, as pandemic funding dries up and ridership declines for reasons like crime, cities are dealing with a public transportation death spiral. And why the old 60-40 formula still works for retirement investing. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM. Online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Friday, May 16th. I'm Jason Williams. 60 degrees here at the Radio Ranch, 4:11 in the afternoon. Cool tonight, as you heard from Will there. Rain coming in tomorrow, or at least a chance of it. And continued very spring-like weather. We got a little taste of summer there several days ago. Just a teaser. Now we're back to the spring-like weather, and that's good. Keeps the snowpack from melting off too fast, so appreciate it, even though it feels chilly compared to those temperatures we were getting there for a while. Coming up on the show today, we have, of course, the For the People movie show. Andy Morgan joining us probably a little bit early today. We were talking, we realized that we've got, there are some things in theaters, but nothing really exciting hitting theaters this weekend. So we're going to preview the summer movie season because as this calendar is filled out, it's looking like this could be one of the bigger summer movie seasons since 2018. So we'll do a full look ahead at everything coming, some of the trailers that are getting a lot of attention as well. And again, that's coming up in the For the People movie show later on. We also have an update from our friends. Well, a potential update. They're currently discussing it right now, but our friends at I just got a text from them. In fact, our friends at the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources are having a meeting right now on some potential changes to boat rules here in Utah. And I caught wind of this. I texted some folks I know there and said, hey, if you guys happen to get out before 5 o'clock when we enter the movie show, give us a call and we'll let you announce these changes if they're approved by the committee vote on air. So we may be getting a call mid-segment, mid-discussion of something else. But for those who like to go out on the reservoirs or the lakes here in northern Utah with your boats, you know that the trying to prevent the spread of quagga mussels has led to some hoops you have to jump through. Due to an outbreak that is already a problem at Lake Powell and signs that it has spread already further north in Utah, they're debating a set of rules that are even more stringent for watercraft owners going from water body to water body. And I don't think folks are going to be happy about these. Now, the vote, again, is scheduled to take place. They're in the meeting as we speak. So scheduled to take place today, but there's a chance they postpone this into next week or even the week after. One committee member saying they really need some more time to look at the data presented on this before they do something so drastic as approve these rules. So one of the potential rules is a wait period, meaning that I don't know how this would be done, but one of the things being debated is a period of days that must occur with the watercraft out of water before, well, at least, not in an official body of water before it could be docked somewhere else. Now, obviously, it would be impossible, I think, to track this on smaller watercraft, wave runners, things like that. But for boats where on most of the major water bodies you need to approach a dock of some kind to dump it in the water, it would be possible for them. They'd probably have to up staffing, I would think, at some of the reservoirs that are popular for boaters. But what this would mean is that as you leave, you would be tagged. I don't know if this would be a digital tag or something that actually put on the boat. As you leave one body of water, you'd be tagged. And if you try to take that boat to another body of water in Utah within 48 hours, they actually won't let you dock. So that's pretty drastic. And people are going to be very upset by that. Although I doubt that many people really do this, one after another, days apart. So a 48-hour wait period probably isn't going to inconvenience too many boaters, but some, and they'll be loud. So, again, that is a proposed rule. There is no sign or indication that the committee will sign off on it, but they are debating it now. And again, if they happen to make a decision before 5 o'clock, one of the committee members has promised to give us a call here at the station, and we'll break it here on air. So we'll see what happens. And again, I would guess the most likely outcome is they punt on this one and push it back a week or two for additional debate or discussion, or maybe even a public hearing of sorts. They're not required to do that in this case. The legislature has given them the authority to make rules to prevent the spread of quagga mussels in Utah, an invasive species, very, very harmful to native species of everything, plants and fish in our waterways. And so we'll see what happens on that. Pretty big deal. Also in the news today, a big announcement from Walmart, that the biggest retailer in the United States, that they were going to be raising prices. And Walmart did something that a couple of other retail chains that were ahead of them, Best Buy and Target, a couple of weeks ago, announcing they were going to be increasing prices. We're looking at 5 to 7% price increases from all three of these, Best Buy, Target, and Walmart. But when Walmart made their announcement today, Best Buy and Target didn't do this. When Walmart made their announcement today, they said directly this is a result of the tariffs, President Trump's tariffs. So that was controversial. That got some raised the blood pressure of several House Republicans, and they're already pretty stressed out with the budget reconciliation process kind of melting down today and potentially delaying the House Speaker's goal of having a budget bill passed by Memorial Day. So there were some loud words said on social media, but Walmart said that, again, the biggest retailer in the United States announced what they called tariff-related price increases, and that now brings the list to 10 retailers and manufacturers. So the list includes Walmart, of course, making this announcement today. Best Buy and Target, who preceded Walmart by about a week in making their announcement. The Ford Motor Company, ConAgra Foods, the Volkswagen manufacturing facilities here in the United States, at least, Stanley Black & Decker, Columbia Sportswear, Procter & Gamble, and AutoZone. These are all the companies that so far have announced they are going to be increasing prices due to the tariffs and the trade war that has been triggered by the tariffs. So we'll see. A spokesperson for a retail consultancy, Global Data, told NBC News today after this announcement from Walmart, if Walmart's coming out with its scale and its buying power and its focus and saying prices are going to rise because of tariffs, pretty much everyone else is going to follow suit. So Walmart effectively here is firing the starting gun on what hopefully is a temporary period of price increases. And that same consultant, Neil Saunders was his name. Deseret News has a story on his further comments. He said he expects grocery prices across the retail industry to rise again between 5 and 7%, and that other merchandise outside of grocery will probably, which is more dependent on global sourcing, could jump as high as 7 to 10% price increases. So, yeah. How this affects families, Saunders said data suggests that the odd 1% here and there, most family budgets can absorb and ignore. But when you get to the 5, 7, 10% price increases across the board in the entire retail outlet store, we're looking at reasonably substantial inflation on family budgets. As far as how economists are responding to this news today, everyone was kind of watching Walmart because, Target's big, Best Buy's big, but Walmart is the behemoth when it comes to retail, grocery and, general apparel, things like that, auto, everything. So everybody was kind of watching Walmart to see what they do. So this announcement today made waves, to say the least. And the U.S. Department of Labor's inflation report reflected this, coming out a few hours later. The report was first released earlier this week, showed 2 to 3% increase in the consumer price index. And then they revised that today, 2 hours after Walmart made this announcement. And they're now expecting a 4.4 to 5.5 consumer price index increase. And interestingly enough, over the last month, the inflation rate was actually down 2.3%. Consumer price index reports that as well. If you want to see this from the U.S. Department of Labor, again, it's linked in a Deseret News story with a lengthier interview with Neil Saunders of the retail consultancy group Global Data. And it's a fascinating look at this specific news, but it also is pretty informative as far as how all of this works. We learned a little bit of this during the pandemic, right? We learned that supply chains are global in a lot of cases, and that a breakdown of supply chains can affect everything from dog food to toilet paper. In this situation, we're not looking at supply chain breakdown, but we're, again, looking at the supply chains. And what Walmart is basically saying here is, look, so much of what's in our stores is coming from overseas, from other countries that have been slapped with these tariffs, and we have to account for that. Now, there's a growing resistance to this as well, a very vocal resistance saying, these companies don't have to do this, that sure, the president's tariff policy is forcing the situation, but these companies could absorb a slightly smaller profit margin and still be making a lot of money without passing that on to the consumers directly. They're not going to do that. So, I mean, I happen to agree. I think in most cases, especially Walmart, they probably, if this is just till the end of the year or something like that, I'm sure Walmart could absorb the increased cost on their end and still be making a lot of money without raising prices in the stores. But it's a business, and they have their own investors they have to answer to. And, so here we are. But CEO of Walmart, Doug McMillon, in the statement today said, given the magnitude of the president's tariffs, even at the reduced levels announced this week, we aren't able to absorb all the pressure given the reality of narrow retail margins. The higher tariffs will result in higher prices. And he said, this was an announcement he was eager to make today. So check it out. Again, Deseret News has some coverage of this. The statement from Walmart I've linked to you directly on our Facebook page. And we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Chim Chimney Fireplace loves to help people make it through the winter and stay warm. Believe it or not, they even help people love the wintertime, but they also love summer because it's the best time to buy a Fireplace Extraordinaire gas fireplace. And now the best brand in the industry has electric fireplace options as well. To celebrate, Chim Chimney is offering free installation through August on any Fireplace Extraordinaire electric fireplace. They also have amazing deals on previous year models. See their newly remodeled showroom in Logan or find them online at chimchimney.com.
Your landscape should be a place to relax, entertain, and spend family time. Canyon Landscaping designs and installs livable landscapes that define space in new or existing yards. Hardscapes with retaining walls, paver and stone patios and walkways. Each create privacy, interest, and purpose. Plus fire pits and sitting walls to add value to any yard. Go to canyonlandscaping.com for more details. Then call to schedule your free consultation. Call 752-3838 or go to canyonlandscaping.com. Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
Got a fundraiser, charity drive, or nonprofit event coming up? Let us help spread the word. Send the details to calendar@cvradio.com and we'll share it with our community. From bake sales to benefit concerts to community celebrations, Cache Valley Media Group is here to amplify your efforts. We're proud to support the people and causes that make our community stronger. Email calendar@cvradio.com today and let's build a better, more connected community, one event at a time.
Monday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We'll break down all the absolute latest on the fallout from Trump's big trip to the Middle East. Also, what is the latest on the big, beautiful bill as it moves closer to passing and the battles over that continue to grow? We'll talk with Jay Feely, former NFL kicker who is running for Congress in Arizona. All that and more. Monday edition, Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Just a quick programming note for next week. There's a really big show for you on Wednesday. We have our regular monthly check-in with Logan City Mayor Holly Daines, who is rounding out what will be her final year of her 2 terms in office. She is not going to seek a third, even though Logan does allow that for mayoral candidates or for mayors to seek a third term. It's not typical. And she is not going to run for re-election next year in the municipal races. Or excuse me, this year in the municipal races. But there's a lot of speculation on who is going to run. Will there be members of the council who file? Filing deadline is end of the first week of June. So will there be members of the council that file? That's a lot of rumors going around about that. Will there be maybe some people from the county who file? Will there be some newbies? There's always this handful of perpetual candidates. So I don't know. I have not heard a thing for sure, but we will have a chance to talk with Mayor Holly Daines on Wednesday's show. And then on Second hour of the show next Wednesday, City Council member Mark Anderson will be joining us, and he says he has an announcement. Now, I don't know what this is. I have some speculation that I could provide, but I know that there have been a lot of folks urging him to run for mayor, and he has said, he's unsure. Said he's been talking with his family about it, thinking about it at least, but he has a family business to run that already keeps him pretty busy. Again, I don't know that that's what the announcement will be next Wednesday, but so right after Mayor Daines parts ways with us at 5 o'clock, she'll be here in hour 1 next Wednesday. Mark Anderson will join us in hour 2 with an announcement. So be sure to be here for that. And if I hear anything beforehand, I will definitely leak. On the other side of the news, we had a chance to talk with Congressman Blake Moore this week. And part of the reason we had him join us here on the show is, speaking of rumors, a lot of Facebook chatter, mainly Facebook, which seems to be where most of the misinformation is these days, Facebook and Twitter. But on Facebook, there were a lot of discussions happening about. So a few months ago, the President Trump, talked a little bit about hiring freezes in the Department of Defense, and or he's also called them pauses or hiring limitations, but no details have emerged on this, what that plan is. But with everything that's been happening with Doge, Elon Musk running the Department of Government Efficiency, that's led to some pretty drastic cuts at the IRS, at the USDA, the FAA, some of those kind of blowing up in their faces now. They're looking to hire people back to the Federal Aviation Administration and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, realizing they let too many people go. And that's kind of derailing Doge's ticker tape of cost savings, because they're costing money having to rehire or forcing agencies to have to rehire. So whether it's saving money or not, it's going to take a while to see that, to count all those beans. But the work continues, and the president has hinted that the Department of Defense is next. Now, this is going to be an uphill battle for the president, because this is an area where, you can't just make the cuts and hope Congress sits back and allows you, which is what's happened so far. When it comes to the Department of Defense, Congress has to be involved. And they will want to be involved. They won't sit back on this one. So that's going to not be a quick process, is my point. So I wouldn't panic about this, but we had Congressman Blake Moore join us last week to dispel some of these rumors, and he talked a little bit about his conversations with both the White House, but also fellow Republicans on important committees when it comes to Department of Defense spending. And he basically confirmed for us last week that despite the rumors, there is no threat to Hill Air Force Base. That base isn't going to be closing. There aren't any conversations about doing that. This is just something that seems to happen every 10 years in Weber County. But this rumor mill about the base closing, because it does happen. The Department of Defense can close bases at the drop of a hat and say, they don't shut it down the next day, but they announce that it will be closing because they've decided it's no longer necessary for the mission. And that happens all the time. But Hill Air Force Base is unique in that their mission is it fits in with every other mission. So we've heard this many times before. Hill Air Force Base is probably the safest military base in the United States when it comes to the threat of closure. More news on that front. Today, Moore had a conversation and sent a letter to Pentagon officials specifically asking them to exempt Department of Defense employees at depots, shipyards, arsenals, and maintenance facilities. And Hill Air Force Base would fall into that in a couple of different ways, both as a depot, an arsenal, and a maintenance facility. But shipyards included in that. So in his capacity as co-chair of the House Military Depot Caucus, Moore, alongside Democratic Representative Eric Sorensen and Democratic Senator John Fetterman, the three of them signed a letter sent under Blake Moore's position of co-chair of the House Military Depot Caucus, They sent what is called a bicameral letter, meaning both chambers are speaking here, to the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, nominated and confirmed a few months ago by President Trump in the Senate to lead the Department of Defense. The letter to Hegseth said, they stressed that, quote, the DoD civilian employees of maintenance and repair facilities should be exempt from any department-wide civilian hiring freezes, pauses, restrictions, or limitations. This letter sent yesterday was the trio of lawmakers basically saying to DoD, to the Department of Defense, these are technical jobs. These are technical employment positions, meaning, these people are very hard to replace, and that restrictions on hiring in these positions would amount to a, quote, de facto hiring freeze on a critical element of America's defense industrial base. We need facilities like Ogden Air Logistics Complex, that's at Hill Air Force Base, to maintain our nation's aging weapons system. Moore and crew write in the letter, keep costs down for the DoD and ensure readiness from future threats. Currently, our depots are struggling to keep up with workload as it is in the wake of ongoing federal workforce changes, and we're losing talented employees to the private sector. So the hiring restrictions in place for depots, arsenal shipyards, and maintenance facilities, Charlie Schill reports at CashValleyDaily.com, can pose a serious risk to U.S. military readiness and national security, the members write. And many of those restrictions are just part of this overall belt tightening imposed by the Pentagon by Hegseth under the instruction of President Donald Trump. So Charlie Schill in his article, though, points, this is an interesting, for perspective, points to an example. Subordinate departments of the Army, Navy, and Air Force are currently not allowed to backfill roles left by civilian employees who elect to participate in what was called the Deferred Resignation Program. This was a, hey, would you like to quit your job for a lofty severance package? Go right ahead. We're trimming the workforce. And Trump started offering that end of January, right after being sworn in. And so that has left, Moore is arguing here, a lot of skilled maintenance positions vacant. And so this will be interesting. Also, Charlie points out in the story, new guidance from the Pentagon requires that DoD agencies hire only one employee for every 4 who leave the federal workforce, which is basically a hiring restriction. And again, Moore is opposing that. Moore says in the letter, this risks the viability of America's legacy systems, such as the F-16 fighter jets maintained at Hill Air Force Base, as an effective deterrent against peer adversaries like China. And the letter, in the end, urges the Pentagon to utilize all tools to generate new talent, not freeze hiring, support current DoD employees, and leverage skills of retired military community to fill the open jobs. And Moore concludes in the letter, as co-chair of the House Military Caucus and representative in Congress for Hill Air Force Base, supporting our military's depots is an essential part of my job. No response from the Pentagon on this one, from Hegseth or others, but can't be ignored. When the co-chair of a House caucus sends you a letter, a response is almost mandatory. So when that response comes, we'll know a little bit more about if there is going to be any trimming at all at Hill Air Force Base. Again, Moore confirming earlier this week with us that there was going to be no closing of Hill Air Force Base, but whether the Trump administration and the Department of Defense Secretary Hegseth, his instruction, will do some belt tightening or some trimming or some hiring freezing, ignoring this letter from Congressman Moore, we'll probably know in a couple of weeks. So check it out. Full story again from Charlie Schill at CashValleyDaily.com, and we'll be back right after this.
Well, thank you, Jason. The Utah Supreme Court has ordered a new trial for a man who has spent nearly 40 years on death row. Yesterday, the court announced that Douglas Stewart Carter's 1985 murder conviction and death sentence would be overturned and a new trial would be held. Now, the court said the decision stems from false testimony that was presented at Carter's original trial that was dismissed by someone involved in the case. Now, they concluded that this violation undermined their confidence in the accuracy of both Carter's conviction and his sentence. Now, Carter was originally arrested in April of 1985 for the murder of Eva Olson, who was killed in her Provo home. Olson was found by her husband with multiple stab wounds and a gunshot wound to the head. According to court documents, police received 2 tips in the weeks following the murder that identified Carter as a potential suspect. About a month later, as Carter and his wife were going through a divorce, she told police that he may have used her handgun, which had gone missing on the night of the murder. Now, the weapon was identified as a .38 special handgun, the same model recovered as evidence at the scene. Meanwhile, a Trump-aligned former Senate candidate and Utah mayor has been picked for a role with the administration to advocate for small businesses across several western states. Riverton Mayor Trent Staggs announced his appointment as regional advocate for the Small Business Administration on Wednesday, following a meeting with Administrator Kelly Loeffler, who had visited the state earlier this week. Now, Staggs had posted on X that he was honored to have been appointed by President Donald Trump to serve as a regional advocate at the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of Advocacy. Now, Staggs joins 9 other regional advocates with the Small Business Administration who will be tasked with working with business, local, state leaders to support small business growth per the agency's website. Now, as Region 9 advocate, Staggs will oversee several western states, including Colorado, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, and Wyoming. Now, the Riverton mayor said that his mission will be to champion small businesses, listening to their concerns, identifying cumbersome red tape, and then making policy proposals to the White House, Congress, and state legislators that will make a difference. And wildfire season is quickly approaching in Utah, and emergency leaders are increasingly warning about where fires can burn. Now, while the word wildfire might imply that fires will only happen in remote, unpopulated areas, they are frequently in urban areas as well. Case in point, the Los Angeles wildfires, which burned back in January of this year, are the most recent example of how flames can race through urban neighborhoods. Now, a similar scenario also played out in Lahaina, Hawaii back in 2023, and disastrous fires have even happened in the middle of winter. The Marshall Fire in Boulder, Colorado back in 2021 killed 2 people. Utah wildfire firefighters say they recognize those dangers. Well, clouds continuing as temperatures tonight dropping into the low 40s, and then we'll see tomorrow temperatures right around the mid-60s. The clouds will continue. We'll start to see a chance of some showers tomorrow afternoon. That's going to continue overnight and into Sunday, then starting to taper off by Monday. And looks like once we get through Monday, this storm is going to move out of the area, and we have some sunny, beautiful weather coming for most of next week. And weather brought to you by Big O Tires is part of the news this hour. Right now, you can save up to $120 off 4 tires from Big O Tires now through May 26th. And don't forget to ask about their Healthy Car Special, too. For just $39.95, they can take care of your oil change, tire rotation, alignment check, brake check, battery check, and more, all for just $39.95. And I'm Will Theoright with your KVNU News headlines on this Friday afternoon. Another check of local news is coming up at the top of the hour.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In New Orleans, the hunt continues for escaped prisoners. 10 in all walked out overnight from the Orleans Justice Center. Police capturing 1 prisoner earlier today, but say the 9 others remain on the loose and are considered armed and dangerous. ABC's Maria Villarreal says authorities reviewed videotape of the facility, and it appears they may have had help.
Well, one of the things law enforcement talked about was that this is a location where you can't escape on your own, even though they were able to get through their cell and through a toilet that was attached to their wall. In order to actually get to the outside wall, they actually had to have help from someone outside.
The Supreme Court has upheld the temporary block of the Trump administration's appeal to quickly resume deportations of Venezuelans under the use of the Alien Enemies Act without due process. President Trump criticizing the justices on social media. And New Jersey transit train operators on strike, heading now into the weekend and impacting major events in the city. This is ABC News.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology for an appointment and let them show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
This is Rochelle Hanks, bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Tron Arnold and Edward Jones for Friday, May 16th. Equity markets finished higher today, led by healthcare and utility stocks. U.S. stocks have posted a strong recovery in recent weeks as trade tensions have eased, with the S&P 500 now up 1.3% and U.S. mid-cap stocks up 2.4% year-to-date. Bond yields fell, with the 10-year Treasury yield at 4.44%. In international markets, Asia finished mixed overnight as Japan's first quarter GDP missed estimates, contracting from the prior year period of 0.07% annualized pace, the first negative recording in a year. European markets rose as Germany's DAX index reached a new record high. The U.S. dollar advanced against major international currencies. In commodity markets, WTI oil traded higher as trade tensions eased. The U.S. equities closed higher. The Dow closed up 332 points at 42,655. The NASDAQ closed up 99 points at 19,211. And the S&P closed up 41 points at 5,958. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 4.44%. In stocks of local interest, Autoliv is up $1.03 to $101.95. Chevron is down 16 cents to $142.10. Home Depot is up $2.15 to $380.78. Kroger is up $1.25 to $68.85. Nucor is up 70 cents to $116.16. Walmart is up $1.89 to $98.24. And Meta Platform is down $3.54 at $640.34. In commodity markets, the price of crude oil was up 64 cents to $61.79, and the spot price of gold was down $24.10 to $3,202.50. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Tron Arnold, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 135 North Main in Logan. If you would like additional information, please contact any of our 7 Edward Jones offices in Logan, Providence, and Smithfield. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru for Morris Columbus Travel and Norwegian Cruise Line. Enjoy more fun at sea with Norwegian, including a free air promotion, shore excursion credits, specialty dining, open bar, Starlink Wi-Fi, and on select cruises, the 3rd and 4th person sharing your cabin sail absolutely free. You just pay the taxes. For the best travel deals on the planet, give us a call at Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Kicking off a little bit early here this week. Andy Morgan joining us in the studio for the People movie show. Early because we've got a lot of catching up to do and summer movie previewing to do. But we're also playing, can you name that 80s TV show theme song? Oh, you knew it, really? I am impressed. Airwolf.
I mean, how can you not? It's Jan Michael Vincent. Remember?
Yeah,
he was in that Disney movie. He was like the fastest man alive, or whatever that is.
I forgot he was in that.
What else was he was in? Was he in The Legend of Tarzan?
I'm Googling right now.
Jan Michael Vincent.
Vincent, because he was in everything for a while.
Whoa, he did not age well. Oh, he's dead. And now I'm a jerk.
That's a horrible way to say it when someone's no longer with us.
But he's dead.
Was in
he's dead. I don't know.
Well, he starred in Damnation Alley in 1977. White Line Fever.
Somebody's out there right now that's like, that was...
he was in The Mechanic with Charles Bronson.
Oh. And The Winds of War.
He was in a surfer movie called Big Wednesday.
I'm sorry. It was The World's Greatest Athlete. Where did I get The World's Fastest Man? Aw. That was back when Disney was like, we don't know how to make movies.
I forgot about the world's greatest athlete.
Well, I remember every once in a while they'd hit one, like there's but they always ended up being like cult classics, like Watcher in the Woods, or one of my particular favorites, Darby O'Gill and the Little People. If you ever wondered if Sean Connery has ever been in a musical, now you know.
He has.
And honestly, it's not bad.
You shouldn't.
It's not bad.
Okay, what about this? This is a harder one. I'll give you a hint. It has a Muppet in it.
Is it Alf?
That's Alf.
Why would you play something with a Muppet when I'm here?
A cat eating Muppet.
Can't you play your own Muppet music when I'm not here? Honestly, people say that now, like as an introduction to me. They'll say, "Oh, this is Andy. He hates Muppets."
This is obscure.
I think I know this.
Cagney and Lacey.
Oh. It has that Stephen Bochco theme.
Yeah, you knew it, basically.
Basically, they were like, hey, Stephen, you're churning out shows like nonstop, so we've just been feeding these ideas into a one of the first AI making scores for your TV shows. They all sound the same. That sounds like Hill Street Blues, but a little peppier.
That's basically what Cagney and Lacey was. Hill Street Blues,
Hill Street
with
Blues,
jokes.
but funny. Funny.
I remember. I don't remember ever seeing an entire episode, but I know my mom never missed that show. Everybody knows this one. Well, it takes a second.
Is it Dallas?
Yeah, this is Dallas.
This is basically Taylor Sheridan's Landman now.
Yeah.
Except if they did that one with the title, it'd be like Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
Midland to Fort Worth. Yeah, as someone who's been spending a lot of time in Texas, I honestly tip my hat to my Texas peeps, but pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
I couldn't live there.
I mean, there's a lot of things.
When it rains, there's nowhere for the water to go. I noticed
live
in places like that.
No, I noticed that all the roofs are real high and pitched.
Yeah,
and has something to do with like hail and rain and
they get some
the
big
wind,
hailstorms, and
also.
Oh, this is. I don't know if this tracks with the movie itself, but.
Oh, Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Did they do this in the movie?
Well, so Blake Shelton did a remake of the tune.
That's right.
And then at the end of the movie, if you remember correctly, if you haven't seen it in this past year, sorry, spoilers don't count anymore. At the end of the movie, when they're arresting the bad guys, it's Heather Thomas and Lee Majors are the police.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, kind of funny.
That's very cool.
That was it. Remember this time last year, we were talking about this. We were well into May, and Fall Guy had just come out, critically acclaimed,
and just
audiences loved it, and just face planted at the box office.
Doing a lot.
And everyone was like, theaters are dead. That was the running commentary for 2 weeks. And then Inside Out 2 came out, and people went, just kidding. We have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are. Hey, I did find out some information, and I don't know if you've shared this yet or if this was shared, on the news with folks this week. But we did get a little bit of clarity into the Megaplex plan here in Cache Valley.
Oh, why the university has been closed?
Yeah, so the university is really they're not just upgrading inside; they're upgrading outside as well. From what I understand, again, there's some outside stuff being done, but they're really making some serious renovations inside. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, the Providence Megaplex 8 is a nice theater, but the University 6 I would say is probably the nice, So they're making one of the theaters will have like 4K, like big screen. I can't remember what they're calling it, but it'll also have
almost IMAX.
Almost
kind of what it looks like.
Almost IMAX. Yeah, I like that.
That's what they make me think of when I see those.
So they'll have that. It's also going to have heated seats, a quiet room.
That's a horrible idea.
Heated seats?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know anybody snoring. I get irritated when people snore on a plane. especially next to me. But no, so yeah, heated seats, luxury seats. I mean, that are kind of standard. Not that you're paying. You're paying for an upgrade. Now, for that type of theater, that fancy theater with the quiet room and all that type of stuff, that will have. I think the price will go up about $2, as from what I understand on tickets. But everything else will not. All the other stuff will be. And then, hey, here's another thing. You won't have to ask somebody to get you your drink. They'll have a Coca-Cola Freestyle machine, I believe. First ever, Jason, at a movie theater in Cache Valley. How about that? So, yeah, just a lot of what I would call kind of quality of life improvements. And here's the thing. I've talked to people around the valley, and they're like, oh, the megaplex, blah, 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 and they don't like it. My thing is, if that's your opinion, you clearly did not live here during the West States years.
Yeah.
And no offense if there's somebody in the valley that, owned the West States, and like, I'm not trying to besmirch your efforts, but also I am, because they were not great. Yeah, and that was the West States kind of model, was like, we're going to put up this cinder block building with 10 roofs.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, remember the days when it was first come, first serve? Like, you had to get to the box office, buy a ticket, and then kind of fight your way through.
Remember waiting in line for and
saving
one
seats.
Of the Star Wars re-releases.
Oh, I remember that.
I think this was one of the last things that happened at that old man theater that had become a West State. And I remember the line went.
You're talking about Cinema 3?
No, out by the mall.
That was the Man Theater. Yeah.
Was that Man up until the end?
It was Man, and then it turned to Carmike. And then I think Regal.
That's right.
What, isn't it a Regal Cinema or something like that?
Regal for a little while, yeah.
It changed.
I just remember that line. This was just to buy tickets. This wasn't even to get a seat.
Mm-hmm.
So the line went from the theater door across the parking lot all the way over to what was then the JCPenney back entrance.
Yeah.
And that was just getting your ticket. Then you got your ticket.
Yeah.
And you had to do the same thing.
Oh, for real?
To get into the theater. And I remember we failed.
Yeah, and I also remember
seeing that Star Wars re-release on the front row.
I remember sitting outside to go see one of the Back to the Future sequels in a line.
Yeah. That was Cinema 3.
I think, yeah. And
I remember that.
And then I remember sitting in another line outside the Capitol to go see Rocky IV. It's just, I don't know, man. People can say whatever they want. We are living in the golden age of content. There is so much on streaming, but nothing will ever replace the theater experience, because there's nothing like being together with a group of strangers.
Yeah.
And you are all bonded over the excitement of what's about to, pop up on the screen.
Plus, if you wear a costume to a home streaming event, you're just weird.
Hey,
wearing it out to the theater, that's normal.
Well, what would be funny is to go back in time and meet with some of the old, the folks. Some of the folks back in the day that had started cinema, and be like, hey, that thing you created back in the day?
Yes, what will be happening?
Couple of French guys. Remember that thing you had called cinematography? Well, let's go forward, 200 years, and let me show you this. Now people film their reactions.
At the movie.
While they're watching.
Yeah, well, it's still happening.
Yeah, I think people...
it's super popular.
Yeah.
Everyone loves it.
I'm telling you right now, and I will die on this hill. If you go into a movie and the advertisements are playing, and you want to take a picture or, whatever, take a little selfie of you and your group, or you're playing a game on your phone, because you just can't have an attention span like normal people, whatever the case is. Like, I'm okay with that, right? But as soon as the first preview comes up, if you're snapping pictures or you're taking
I'm with
you can leave.
Yeah, the previews are part of the show.
Well, it's just I was talking about this with my hairdresser earlier. I always wanted to say that on radio. We were talking about...
Never expected to hear you say that on radio.
Well, just this whole idea of I don't care if my actions inconvenience you, right?
Yeah.
Like, no regard for other people around you. And you see it. You see it in all public spaces. You see it in restaurants. You see it in movies. You see it on airplanes.
U.S. Highway 89.
You see it when you're driving. Yeah, I don't know if it's just, if we are really in a I don't know I guess an age where manners aren't stringent as they might have been at one point.
I've decided it's not even that. I think most people don't want to be bad. They don't want to be that person. But I do think that sometimes, and I don't know if it's social media, I don't know if it's busy lifestyles, I don't know, but I honestly think people just sort of forget there's others around, or forget to think about ways they impact other people. Because if you confront somebody, most people are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
That's true. Yeah, well,
but that's still surprising to me. Like, you didn't realize this would be annoying for everyone else.
Yeah, no, a good example of that is I mentioned planes. It's a good idea, like when somebody's getting on the plane and you're in your seat, sitting, just waiting, hoping that the plane doesn't crash, going through your last rides.
Hope there's enough FAA people here today.
And somebody's walking down the aisle and they've got their carry-on and they've got their giant backpack. And they're putting their carry-on up, and they're smacking you in the face with their backpack. And you're like, you didn't just think about that there's actually, people around. I
was flying just on an overnight trip, so I just had a backpack. And I watched someone pull my backpack out of the overhead, shove their suitcase in, and then just mash my bag. It was only had clothes in it, so I didn't care. But I just kind of watched them in shock. Just mash my bag back into this tiny hole that they'd left. And I didn't say a word because it wasn't worth it, but I was still kind of surprised. I'm like,
you're like, hey,
well, do what you got to do, sir, I guess. But
hey, I know we got to, we're going to cut and go to the second hour here in a minute, but I did want to mention that the box office is looking healthy. We've had some surprises, I think. I don't think anyone suspected Minecraft to be at $410 million domestically.
It did not.
Sinners was a big surprise, $225. Captain America still made, not great, but $200 million. And Thunderbolts is on that way too. I think that would probably hit.
Is it?
The problem with Thunderbolts is it's going to run into the Mission Impossible juggernaut next week.
Yeah.
So this is kind of its last weekend, I think. I would assume that will land somewhere around $200 million, which is again is good, but yeah,
it's a lot.
I think the box office is going to do better this year than it did last, for sure. I think it's on the rebound.
Sinners is still the biggest surprise for me, but this is not the end of the movie show. Stick around. Hour 2 of today's show and the continuation of the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan here in the studio.